Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel. Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I
Welcome back to another remake this week, and I've wanted to review this film for a very long time. George Romero's Day of the Dead is quite possibly one of my favourite zombie films, so when I heard it was being remade in a similar vein to the Dawn of the Dead remake, I was interested to see what they would come up with. However, this film is quite possibly the loosest interpretation of remake ever conceived, which wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't also so abhorrently terrible. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Day of the Dead took place after the zombie apocalypse and was about a group of scientists and military working together to find survivors and a cure. The remake has nothing to do with that, taking place instead as the outbreak starts with these teenagers as main characters. If you're looking for why this movie gets to call itself a remake, you don't have to look very hard, just look in your wallet. I'm sure you'll find a few note-based answers in there. So yeah, these teenagers are doing what teenagers do, heavily making out in an abandoned building, with a little hint that this guy is sick. Well, that's attractive. The other two teens, and main characters, Trevor and Nina, decide to explore the place for no real reason, except for some shitty suspense moments that have zero payoff whatsoever. Meanwhile, outside the town, the outbreak party has already begun, with the military blocking off what seems to be the only road out of the place, with one guy determined to get through, even if it means going through loads of people with guns, because his son has what looks like the flu. The flu thing will be our zombie infection, but even calling it a flu thing is way too descriptive, because no part of it is actually consistent, changing throughout the film to suit the plot. Also, you'll notice there's no build-up to an outbreak, because creating a flowing, structured narrative is secondary to the zombies, blood, guns that the filmmakers are so desperate for. Also, you'll notice Ving Rhames is here, in a pathetic attempt to trick people into thinking that this is some kind of sequel to the far superior and far more successful Dawn of the Dead remake. The man doesn't listen to Ving Rhames and wants to drive straight through, but Ving calls for our other main character, Corporal Cross, or Sarah, who manages to defuse the situation. Back with the pointless teens, Nina suggests she and Trevor go back to his place to make out, like that wasn't her first choice. The other guy gets a sudden nosebleed bleeding over the girl, which she finds disgusting and hopes doesn't make her sick. So I guess her swallowing the contents of his nose was just a fetish. Also included in this film is a radio DJ played by Ian McNeice with a terrible American accent. He's there to relay the information from the military to the populace, and it's implied he's a hard-hitting journalist, but in reality he does fuck all in every way possible. He does vow to get the soldier to talk.
You are gonna talk to me, so help me God. Oh, Celine Dion. You'd probably like her.
Which I'm sure you'll agree is a timely as fuck joke. Back with the teens, the disgusting one doubles down on his stupidity by offering the girl money to have sex with him, which naturally pisses her off, and she chooses to walk home without the others, pretty much making her the first victim. The others drive off, and with this film desperate to not take its time at all, we then get the short scene of the girl being chased and eaten by a zombie, except for her belly button though. Which was a great way of showing us that she was the one who was killed. After all, there were so many people in that scene, we had to have some kind of indicator, otherwise we'd just be confused. Back at the roadblock, more soldiers have shown up. There's the stereotype in uniform, Salazar, who immediately insults his superior officer by bringing up her past discretions.
Yeah, I heard about you. You and the homie Henry Fenton was hitting it for a couple months, right?
You and your homie got your wires crossed. It didn't happen.
And there's the pretty useless soldier as well, who Sarah takes for a ride. Also, he's named Bud. It's meant to refer to the intelligent zombie from Day of the Dead, but he was called Bub. Another inaccuracy is that all the soldiers should be wearing grey pixel camouflage. Also, Bud calls Sarah Mom, when a non-commissioned officer should be referred to by their rank. So, either the filmmakers didn't know they made these mistakes, or they just didn't care. Both is equally possible. As Sarah and Bud talk, he reveals he only just joined, because that wasn't obvious. Sarah then returns home, but I'm not sure why she's allowed to do that. Inside, Sarah awkwardly finds her brother Trevor engaging in some sexy time. She tells Trevor about the quarantine, but they've oddly missed the increased military presence. However, he does mention that their mother is sick, so Sarah goes to check on her. Their mother is very sick with a high fever, so Sarah decides to take her to the hospital where Nina's parents also are. Trevor mentions the bleeding douchebag from before wanting to check on him, which Sarah rightfully calls him a prick for doing that and not caring for his mother. So he'll get her ready to go to the hospital and she'll go check on the twat.
I'll go check on Kyle.
Aye, little bitch.
That's the Navy, you idiot. At least try to get your insults correct. We then see the sun go down for the entirety of the movie. Cause for some reason, a movie called Day of the Dead, the majority of it will take place at night. What kind of sense does that make? Sarah and Bud get to the twat's house not finding anyone until Bud knocks the curtains. How were they just stood up against the wall, since dead bodies don't have that kind of discipline? Also, why aren't they zombies? And to finish the cliches, all phones now no longer work. Oh yeah. Sarah radios to Ving Rhames to tell him what she's discovered and that she's going to the hospital with her mother. However, he orders her back to the roadblock as soon as possible.
Yes, sir. Over and out.
And again, clearly the filmmakers knew nothing about the military, since over and out is a contradiction. Over means I've stopped talking, please respond, and out means I've finished speaking, don't respond. And in the car there's some more backstory.
Why isn't your gun loaded?
It's complicated.
It's complicated, yes. Apparently so complicated, we never find out why. I know, incredibly disappointing, isn't it? Sarah and the others get her mother to the hospital, already of course filled with sick people coughing all over the place. And Sarah gets this guy to give up his seat.
What?
Do you mind?
Even though there are clearly loads of seats available. Sarah finds the other soldier from the barricade who tells her that communications has been cut off under orders from Washington. Yeah, why exactly? Are they afraid the sick people will transmit the virus through the phones? It's highly unlikely they know about the zombies because Ving Rhames, the highest ranking soldier there, has no clue. It's just an arbitrary reason for all phones not to work because that's how horror movies go. Talk about standard as fuck writing. Sarah talks to Ving Rhames, who has a doctor that wants to know all about what Sarah found at the twat's house. And back in the waiting room, Bud is being inappropriate.
Does she have a boyfriend?
She's hot, huh?
Is that really the time or place to ask that sort of thing? Especially to a woman you've only just met and started talking to? But seemingly to cut through the awkwardness, Sarah's mother suddenly goes all catatonic. I wouldn't blame her, she is in the Day of the Dead remake. But it's not just her, everyone who is sick has stopped moving. Yeah, like most viruses, it doesn't matter when you're infected, the virus will just turn that light switch off in your head at the exact same time as everyone else. I mean, that's scientifically accurate, and has nothing to do with the writers being unable to handle the idea of things happening at different times. Meanwhile, Sarah meets with a doctor who wants to question her. Oh, and of course, he's Dr. Logan. This is Dr. Logan from the original. And this is that guy. Similarity's not really a priority here, is it? And also, while we're on the subject, Ving Rhames is Captain Rhodes, this guy from the original. And one of the better written villains out there. It's purely a name-only reference though, because Ving is nothing like him. Sarah talks with the doctor and he asks about the bodies, trying to figure out if it was a zombie attack. Duh? But no time for that, as Nina's father is elsewhere in the hospital and, unlike everyone else, is still talking. But then he goes catatonic as we see the virus swimming in his veins, like this is a really shitty episode of House. And then we escape his body to see him now fully zombified, rotting and everything, as he attacks, biting the fake prosthetic off Nina's mother's face. Meanwhile, Bud finds Sarah and tells her what's happening, and again, the other people have been catatonic a lot longer than Nina's father has. Is nothing consistent here? And to fulfill more of the cliché horror criteria, a woman is attacked by zombies, causing the power to the entire town to go down. You know, to get that out of the way as quickly as possible. Also, the town is now infested with zombies running amok, which would have been nice to see that progress rather than just happen. But, oh no, the power's out of the radio station too. And yes, it would be nice for this DJ to have some kind of point, aside from plot contrivance. But don't hold your breath. The DJ goes to leave, but that's when the soldier hears a scream outside. He investigates, but obviously it's more zombies killing people. So he goes to his inevitable death of zombies jumping on him, and the DJ is chased back into the building. And at the same time, cops have showed up to investigate the bodies that Sarah found. However, they find that there's 3 bodies and not just 2. So hold on. These zombies are intelligent enough to understand the concept of ambushes and playing dead, but they don't know how doors work, they still get hit by cars, and they jump around like they have no self-preservation, even though that zombie avoided getting shot to make a kill. I really shouldn't be surprised at inconsistencies, but this film has the worst interpretation of zombies I've ever seen. And now, back at the hospital, all hell is breaking loose, which I guess must have happened off screen, cause why focus on the main thing you've been building up to, yeah? Trevor and Nina are still running away from her father when they see this. You unholy mother... I apologise. I might have gotten a little carried away. First of all, I don't mind running zombies. But when you have them performing Cirque du Soleil, I have to take issue with your film. Because I doubt anyone of any realistic strength could do that and that quickly. Which means, regardless of how unaffected they are by the pain of muscle strain, zombies doing that is just ridiculous. And I feel I need to remind you that this film is supposed to be a remake of the 1985 classic film of the same name. So the filmmakers to this somehow managed to con their way into getting the rights to that film, and they pull this shit with it? This film is an insult to cinema as a whole, and nothing more than a badly written, low-budget, crappy zombie film, dressed up to look like a remake, and not very well. Fuck me. So anyway, Trevor and Nina get chased out of the hospital, barricading the door. Firstly, not even thinking about the people still alive in the hospital, including his fucking sister, and secondly, the supposedly superhuman zombies can't get through. I guess their powers are commanded by the ancient spirits of plot convenience. And like I said, the remaining living people, Ving, Sarah, Bud and the Doctor, are running from the zombies. But not before Ving gets a zombie death, since he's the most expensive actor in this film. And while that's going on, the others get to a storage room, and the Doctor shows he's a complete arsehole by pushing Bud out, leaving him to be eaten. But fortunately Sarah punches the zombie, cause she looks like she has a decent right hook. And of course in the storage room the Doctor denies being a dick as they barricade themselves in the room, with an added jump scare at the window. Meanwhile, Trevor and Nina, who are pretty much out for themselves, see that the radio station might be a place of refuge, and as they haven't learned a thing, they get to the door making a ridiculous amount of noise, so a zombie starts running for them. But they manage to get inside cause we were so full of suspense. And inside they find the couple from the beginning mourning their now zombified son, blaming Sarah for some arbitrary reason. But then the paranoia kicks in as the woman starts coughing, saying she had it before the outbreak, and the DJ coughs as well, ramping up the suspicions. Cause for some bizarre reason the film thinks it's John Carpenter's The Thing all of a sudden, after all that zombie crap. Back with the others, Sarah has the idea to use Ving Rhames' truck, but they need his keys, which are on his body. This'll go well. Sarah and Bud climb through the air vents above, cause you know, zombies can't climb up there. Oh right! Sarah finds Ving's body and goes down to get the keys, but somehow the guy from the barricade, Salazar, is randomly there now too. And you know, some people will find it a bit suspicious that a new black character would show up just as the last one died. But I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I mean, it's not like he's the only black character left in the entire film. Actually, that's exactly the case, isn't it? You know, I was wondering if my DVD player was a time machine to the 70s. This film confirms that. Sarah gets the keys from dead Ving, but he doesn't stay dead for long, as he slowly crawls after them when they get into the air duct. And unlike the other zombies, he's not fast because that would make it too easy to catch our protagonists. He does grab Sarah's foot though, allowing him to climb after her, and to make things worse, she falls through another grate into more zombies. But everyone gets back into the room without incident. Well, except for that. And then Sarah pours bleach onto the guy's hand, figuring that'll kill the infection. But Salazar wants to shoot Bud, cause he'll become a zombie. He does shoot zombie Ving though, so he's not completely useless, because that would pretty much be the first zombie kill of the movie. And Sarah gets the guy to back down by saying she'll kill Bud if it's needed. So pretty much everyone is jumping to the conclusion that a zombie bite turns you into a zombie when they've seen little to no evidence to back up that theory. In fact, Sarah and Trevor's group have both seen people being eaten and not turn into zombies. But again, I'm complaining about inconsistency. Meanwhile, back at the radio station, the DJ is still broadcasting despite the power to the town being completely out. But why let facts get in the way? And the DJ is still coughing as the film desperately tries to ramp up some kind of tension. And then Trevor tries to use the radio to get help, but outside, all there is are zombies. And one zombie in particular is his mother, who hears his voice from a car. But instead of thinking he's in the car, like a zombie would, she somehow knows to go to the radio station instead. So yeah, more contrived bollocks. Back with Sarah's group, she's made some Molotovs and Salazar has made a spear from a bone saw.
Sweet spear.
See, a black man with a sharp stick is supposed to be a spear.
No, it's a spear because that's what it is, you fucking idiot. They make a run for it, smashing the window, with Sarah finally having a loaded gun.
You gotta shoot him in the head.
Firstly, why does Sarah's gun sound like it has a silencer on it? Couldn't they afford the proper sound effects? Also, why did they assume that zombie bites turn you into zombies, but not assume that shooting them in the head is the way to kill them? Salazar shot Ving Rhames in the head, for fuck's sake. But anyway, we then get the action of Sarah's group trying to get to the truck, with Salazar's spear slicing through zombies like they're butter. Even though for a bone saw you need a sawing motion. You can't just slice away with it. More zombies jump out the windows after them, and while they fight, the Doc is a complete prick.
Please, help me, please.
I'll help you.
Wow, what a cock end. I really hope he dies. Can the movie at least give me that? Also, he takes his own vehicle and leaves the others, cause let's continue making him as reprehensible as possible.
What a dick!
Huh. I didn't think I'd find a line in this film to like, but there it is. The group is trapped, but they use the Molotovs, which work surprisingly well, as zombies burn to ash in seconds, and even going so far as to make their heads explode. But who the fuck knows with these zombies anymore? And then they quickly take Ving's truck, getting the hell out of there. And for some bizarre reason, while driving, Sarah makes a point out of avoiding hitting zombies, because they're still somebody. Forgetting the fact that those zombies might kill actual alive people, and the group just killed like 30 of them. And then it's right back to the radio station for more of that crap, with the couple wanting to leave arguing with each other. Nina spots a bloody tissue in the trash, meaning that one of them had a nosebleed and will turn soon. I hope so, cause this paranoia crap is irritating. Nina picks up a weapon and confronts them, asking who's infected, with the DJ accusing the couple. But before we get to that, cause the tension is just killing us, Sarah's group have found a gun shop, and she quite wisely zip-ties Bud in the car. They manage to tool up with a whole manner of weapons, most of which are federally regulated Class 3 weapons that wouldn't be readily available in a modest shop like that. And yes, I am starting to see the futility in pointing out this film's problems. Outside, Bud's nose has started to bleed, so he's not got much time left. And with the radio group, they're finally getting to the bloody point, as the DJ suddenly goes catatonic and attacks, but Nina swiftly takes him out. And it doesn't really seem to matter that the DJ wasn't anywhere near as sick as anyone else we've seen. Sarah and Salazar get back in the truck, but that's when they discover that Bud is now a zombie. But he isn't aggressive and listens to orders, with Sarah reasoning it's because he's a vegetarian. Yeah, that's really the only explanation, making the whole thing ridiculously stupid, especially considering that Bub in the original was shown to undergo extensive training to become docile, and it was genuinely interesting and creepy to watch him shoot a gun, for example. Just more of this film shitting on the original. Sarah tries obtaining information on the radio, getting nothing, but then she hears Trevor calling for help from the radio station, so Sarah turns around to rescue him. She must have completely forgotten about him because she wasn't concerned at all until now. And that's when Trevor sees his mother outside the station, and because he's a complete pants-on-head moron, he immediately goes outside to meet her without even thinking that she was sick and probably a zombie now. And when the idiot gets outside, the couple reveal that the woman did indeed have a nosebleed, which I'm sure won't be a problem shortly. And you know, it may have been pretty dumb, misinformed, forgetful, and just plain ridiculous for Sarah to not run over the zombies, but I'm proud of her for sticking to her guns. Is nothing in this film consistent? But anyway, Nina tells Sarah about the couple upstairs who she goes to retrieve, but in the short space of time, the woman has both turned into a zombie and eviscerated her husband in less than 30 seconds. Also, no one heard anything, especially when the woman attacks Nina. But fortunately, Nina manages to defend herself until Trevor comes in, pushing her out the window into Salazar's gunfire. So, good teamwork there. Our group make it to the blockade, with it pretty quiet. Well, that is until zombie soldiers appear, that are all gunned down immediately. But then more show up, this time firing their own guns, which seems a bit unnecessary considering these zombies can defy gravity. You wouldn't think they'd bother. The group decide to take a back road heading into the woods.
What was that?
What the fuck do you think it was? Has tonight's events been any kind of fucking clue? And yeah, a zombie, the twat from the beginning in fact, jumps through the windshield, causing Sarah to go off the road, at full speed, colliding with a tree. Clearly, stopping was too difficult. Now they're trapped in the woods, but as luck would have it, Trevor tells them of the old building from the start of the movie, so they head there for some refuge.
What's that?
I don't know.
Again, what the fuck do you think it was? They get inside the building and block the door, but the sounds of zombies are heard, which freaks zombie Bud out for some reason, even though he hasn't reacted like that before. But too late to think about that, as zombies burst through the door, grabbing Sarah. Sarah manages to escape and they all run into the basement, and Bud is seemingly killed by the group of zombies, so they must really hate vegetarians. The group get behind a locked door, so are safe for now. However, that's when they find a well-lit corridor. Yes, because the building actually houses a secret underground laboratory, and it was the place where the zombie virus was created. Never has this clip been more appropriate.
That's convenient.
And in one of the rooms, Sarah finds a computer that mentions a Project Wildfire, which is a random as fuck reference to Michael Crichton's The Andromeda Strain. And further down, they kick open the doors to find no one other than the douchebag doctor from before, who, by pure coincidence, yeah right, he's the guy running the place. But he claims that the facility has nothing to do with the outbreak, which is a hell of a lot of wishful thinking. Trevor is quick to call bullshit on him as he shows everyone a videotape of one of the scientists working there, the last one in fact, as everyone else is dead. He concludes his vlog by turning into a zombie and running off, but he didn't have a catatonic moment like everyone else because... Also, I'm pretty sure this corporation is really giving Umbrella a run for its money in terms of safety procedures. Actually, it seems to be some kind of rule in movies that if a laboratory is working with a dangerous virus, there have to be 0 protocols in place for containment breaches. Also, the doc explains that some people have an immunity to the virus, so that's why the group isn't sick. But if they get bitten, there's no protection to the virus. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm no virologist, but if you're immune to a virus, why would a bite change that? You're still coming into contact with the same virus. But I am arguing scientific inaccuracies with this film, so what do I know? The conversation is cut short when more zombies are heard and the group go to investigate, and they do indeed find a zombie.
Oh, shit.
Bullet time zombies? What the fuck is this film playing at? Unless they are indeed in the Matrix and that was the zombified corpse of Neo, this film just jumped the shark. Sarah and Salazar chase the zombie, but it gets into a vent, with Sarah assuming that this zombie is smarter than the others. But I would say these zombies have been abnormally smart already. And the douchebag doctor tells them that the zombie is the lead scientist of the place and a very smart man. And he's apparently also Batman now. But at least the douchebag is now dead and won't be coming back as a zombie despite having no head trauma, because fuck consistency. That's the main message to take away from this movie, actually. And just like any standard horror, the group decide to split up, with Sarah and Salazar finding a way out of the lab. But that's when the zombies pour in, and they end up killing Salazar. Ha! The black guy dies again. I really hope my DVD player can go to other time periods, because the 70s really sucks for movies. Sarah runs off and finds Trevor and Nina in a storeroom, and she discovers some tanks filled, at least she assumes they're filled, with rocket fuel. So they rig up the tanks to create a huge flamethrower, while Sarah goes out to be bait for the zombies. She finds the whole group in one place, cause that's easier, getting their attention. However, the scientist jumps down behind and grabs her. But wait, turns out Bud is still with us and starts shooting a gun. He didn't have previously, so where the fuck did he get that? Well, he does distract the scientist long enough for Sarah to get away, and Bud is torn to pieces. But he was already dead, so it's just a feeble attempt to tug at your heartstrings. Sarah runs off again with zombies in tow and gets back to the storeroom, where Nina hits the valves off the tanks and the gas is then ignited, very conveniently incinerating the entire group of zombies. But really, they didn't create a flamethrower, more a huge bank of rockets with enough power to bury themselves a few feet into the wall. But fuck it, it ends the film, so let's ignore it. So like I said, the film ends with the group managing to get out of the base and drive away from the zombie-infested town, with the radio telling us it's all under control now. But the film just can't resist.
Colorado County.
Yeah, fuck you too, Day of the Dead remake. And I've been saving this clip for a very special occasion.
That was so terrible, I think you gave me cancer!
This film is absolutely terrible on many, many levels. I think you know by now how completely inconsistent it is with its plot and facts. But I think the worst part of this film is the simple fact that the people making it knew they had utter shit, so they quite frankly stole the name Day of the Dead, claimed it was a remake, in order to trick people to see this dreck. And of course they put Ving Rhames in there, again, to trick people into thinking this was a sequel to the far superior Dawn of the Dead remake. Watch the original Day of the Dead, cause this, even without the stolen name, would still be a below average zombie movie. Just avoid it and pretend it doesn't exist. Well, I think that satiated my craving of remakes for a while. So, next time, let's throw a dinner party. Have a few friends for dinner, possibly with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. See you next time.